Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are ready to embark on a new video. Without further ado, let's get started. In this video, we will conceptually explore what a transformation is in our world and its properties in Dragon Ball. The latter will be explained separately with a real example and another in Dragon Ball to make all of this simple. Before we dive right in, I want to mention two more YouTubers from Dragon Ball. The first is Dragon Ball EC, that makes videos with the latest news from Dragon Ball manga and anime. Do not hesitate to follow him if you want to be informed. And the second is God Key Legends Sid, that makes varied content about Dragon Ball, from memes to funny scenes. If you want to hang out, it's pretty cool. So, we started the section of the Gossip Mosquito, which is impatient to show the data it has. I hope it is as enjoyable as possible. 3, 2, 1, start! First of all, what is a transformation? This is a series of steps in which you change something we have to something different but without changing what it really is. We can see this as an example when an insect changes until it becomes an adult, when we manipulate the goal to make it a bar, and when our mood changes during the week. In Dragon Ball, the transformations also exist, and these have about 9 properties to be able to understand them. However, we will see them in 3 groups of 3 to make it easier. Looking from left to right and going down to the next line of images, we have that the first group of properties tell us that they are: first, specific, second, finite, and third, reversible. We start with that transformations are specific, that is, they only happen in certain beings. A real example of something specific will be the bitterness of lemons when we suck on them. Going to the world of Dragon Ball, we find 2 examples. The first will be the ability to transform into a great monkey of the Saiyan race, watching the full moon. And the second will be the ability to change to less evolved forms of the Frieza species. The second property that we will see is that they are finite, that is, there is a limit in their quantity and variety. An example from real life will be the cutlery that we have stored in the kitchen of our house, which we can count all of them. Turning to the world of Dragon Ball, we can put 2 clear examples. The first will be to have only 3 transformations in normal Super Saiyans, and the second will be the 3 transformations to weaker forms of Frieza species. Could there be more? Yeah, but they won't be possible at certain number. They are also reversible, that is, once completed, they can be undone. A very simple real example will be when we write a paper with a pencil and erase what we have written with an eraser, returning the paper to how it was before writing on it. In the world of Dragon Ball, we can put 2 other examples. For this, the first will be when Goku loses the transformation associated with Master Ultra Instinct and returns to the normal state. And the second will be when the cell vomits the Android 18 and goes back to its previous form, since it still does not generate enough energy to maintain its perfect form. Okay, having seen the first 3, let's focus on the next 3. Once again, Following the same step as in the first three, the second group of properties tell us that there are 4 trainable, 5 refinable, and 6 gradual. We start this second group with that they are trainable, that is, they can be done faster and better the more they are used. A real example of something trainable would be, for example, the muscles of our body. Since by training them they do a certain task better. In the world of Dragon Ball we can put 2 simple examples. The first will be when Goku and Gohan leave the hyperbolic time chamber where they train for make their Super Saiyan transformation use less energy and be more controllable. And the second will be when Vegeta manage to invest the best amount of time and energy to reach the Super Saiyan of Grade 2 and transform into Super Vegeta. Additionally, they are refinable, that is, they can be altered to be much better at what they do. A real example is how coal can be transformed into diamond in nature, and then using techniques it could be made pure and brilliant. Returning to the world of Dragon Ball, we can put 2 characteristic examples. The first will be when Goku uses the Super Saiyan 3, which is a refined version of the Super Saiyan 2, and the second it will be the refined version of the Super Saiyan God, that is, the Saiyan Beyond God transformation that we see in his fight against revived Frieza. The last property of this group is that they are gradual, that is to say, they do not take place instantaneously, but they do so in different steps. A real example will be how we inflate a balloon. It does not inflate at once, since it needs several blows for it. Once again, in the world of Dragon Ball, we can put 2 very clear examples. The first will be when the child Goku transforms into a great ape, in which he gradually takes on the characteristics of the later, and the second will be when Cell goes from its imperfect to semi-perfect form after absorbing the Android 17, adopting intermediate forms before reaching the final stage. Once we have seen the first 6, we will see the last group of 3, following the same steps as the first 2. These tell us that they are 7th Unlockable, 8th Classifiable, and 9th Understandable. We start this group with that they are unlockable, that is, they may or may not be accessible depending on the conditions from which they start. A real example will be when we get a new look for our character in a video game after completing certain achievements. In the world of Dragon Ball, we can put 2 more examples. The first, when the boy Gohan unlocks the transformation into a great ape when he sees the full moon, since without it, this transformation is blocked. And the second will be the transformation into a mystical state of Gohan that has to be unlocked by the Elder Kaioshin through a ritual. The penultimate property is that they are classifiable, that is, they can be ordered and differentiated according to their characteristics. A real example of something classifiable will be, for example, the waste that we throw into different recycling bins. In our beloved world of Dragon Ball, we can put 2 representative examples. The first will be the different Super Saiyan transformations that exist, such as Frantic, the Normal, and the Blue. And the second will be the different forms that Buu adopts when absorbing different warriors. Finally, they are understandable, that is, we can give them a reason and a meaning. A real example will be when we understand what a friend tells us because we know what their words mean. In Dragon Ball, and each word we can put two examples that complete the definition. The first will be when future Trunks knows how transformation work and decides to create a new transformation that is the Ultra Super Saiyan. And the second will be when Super Buu knows that by wrapping his enemies with parts of his body, then adding them to his body mass, and then trapping them in a cocoon inside of him, he is then able to transform. Well, this is all we had to say in this video. I hope you like it and we can discover more things together about the world of Dragon Ball. Remember that if you like the video, if you like it, subscribe if you want to be aware of the news of the channel, and share if you want the channel to grow. Remember that the other versions, for the older people, have more content, and that one is more difficult. If you are ready to dare to the next level, do not hesitate to try. A cordial greeting to all of you, and even more to see.